I wrote a book about grief, following the tumultuous year following the death of my infant son. And I wrote it because writing was becoming a kind of passion of mine, but also because it was becoming a part of my process of dealing with things. And I'd actually been writing a lot about this, blogging a lot about this subject of my son and my experiences even before he was born, as we were kind of learning as he was still in utero all the challenges he was going to face. And so after he died, it seemed a natural way for me to process what I was going through. But also I was hearing from a lot of friends and family members who were saying, wow, it's really helpful to read what you're writing. And so my wife and I said, you know, this is important to us to have this story, and it's part of my process in dealing with it. So I just got to work. When I started writing a book, a memoir about grief, I knew that I wanted to be true to my experience so that it wouldn't be chronological or sequential. It wouldn't sort of describe a process that I went through, because my experience of grief was very tumultuous and very non-systematic and non-chronological. So I wanted to write about it as it happened to me. So the stuff I'm writing about at the beginning of the book are the things that occurred to me first, the things that I was struggling with or figuring out or trying to unravel. So the process of writing it for me during that year was I would be kind of taking notes as I went, sort of noting things that were occurring to me, their new thoughts, taking note of what I was remembering. I had a lot of flashbacks to things that happened earlier, and I would kind of get fixated, and I was trying to understand what had happened to me, I think. And then I would go away once or twice a week. I'd go away to a coffee shop for half a day or a little bit more. It was good for me to sort of be out rubbing up against the fact that life was going on. So if I was out in a coffee shop or a kind of public place, it forced me to realize life was moving on and I needed to keep working on this stuff. So I would look at my list of notes that I had kind of, the things, and I would try to find the one that seemed the most interesting or had the most passion around, and I would just write about that. Usually I would write a chapter or so about that thought. Like I said, it's full of flashbacks and going back and forth, and me trying to work through a lot of stuff that I needed to keep coming back to again and again till I could try to make some sense out of it. What I found in that process was it helped me to follow my own story and to pay attention to my own story and things I was learning and the ways in which I was making some progress through that year. And ultimately it helped me to realize, even though I was committed, from the outset I was committed to not having a happy ending on the book. Because so many of the books I read were either sort of saccharine sweet, everything was going to be super sweet in the end and have a nice happy turn at the end that made you smile and close the book and go on. I didn't want that. I wanted to have a real narrative story. What I found was through that story, I really did find some redemption. I really did find some hope. I really did find some strength in God and in some real strength in community that was gathered around me. And it was a way for me to chronicle that journey and to sort of mark it all out.